The Ashkenaz Festival, North America's largest celebration of Jewish music, arts, and culture, is happening at venues across Toronto from August 27th to September 2nd. Witness diverse musical expressions of the Jewish experience, from klezmer and Yiddish styles to Sephardic, Mizrahi, Falasha music, and much more. Go to ashkenaz.ca for venue and ticket information.
I'm Ellen Besner, and this is what Jewish Canada sounds like for Thursday, August the 15th, 2024. Welcome to the CJN Daily, a podcast of the Canadian Jewish News. Well, as Jewish Overnight Camp's summer 2024 sessions are coming to a close this week across most of the country, several camp communities in Ontario have had to deal with sudden recent tragedies. The unexpected death of a counsellor at one camp, and a car accident at a second camp that took the lives of some cleaning staff. Camp directors very quickly called for outside help. Alumni swung into action too, offering everything from moral support, staffing bunks where regular counselors left to go to the city. One team brought in a therapy dog, others held outdoor yoga sessions. There were candlelight memorial prayers said at the waterfront, among other measures. Now, when camp started 2 months ago, this summer was supposed to be a break from the anxiety and grief and stress which many Jewish families felt as a direct result of the October 7th Hamas attack, and the worry about the kidnapped hostages, the fear over the ongoing war between Israel and Gaza, and the spike in anti-Semitism in this country. We won't be naming the victims of these two recent sudden tragedies out of respect for their grieving families, but Toronto grief counsellor Lynda Fishman says summer camps can play an important role at a time like this in developing a child's resistance in the face of hardship. We've put a link to her article in our show notes. And today we bring you this encore presentation of a CJN Daily episode from July 2023, when we spoke to Lynda Fishman about why so many Jewish summer camps have actually started adding mental health experts to their teams last year.
Oh, we just got to get to camp now, right, Lay? Okay, if you want to hop out as soon as this car moves, we're going to give them bracelets. Thank you.
That's what it sounded like this past Sunday in the parking lot of the Promenade Shopping Centre in Thornhill. Carload after carload of Jewish families arrived and dropped off their kids' camp duffel bags. These are being shipped that day up to a sleepaway summer camp in the Muskokas, 150 kilometers to the north. Some parents handed over clear Ziploc bags containing their kids' medications, and then staff members snapped a color-coded bracelet onto the camper's wrist. They have to wear it the entire time they're at camp. It has a tracking device, so staff can check on the camper's whereabouts. But also this year, the camp's clinical social worker was on hand at drop-off to meet each family. Because these days, with children dealing with anxiety, eating problems, maybe severe homesickness, and other mental health challenges, some Canadian Jewish summer camps have fortified their infirmary teams to be able to do a lot more than just treat bug bites.
This feels like finally we have a normal summer ahead of us. But that's not to say that kids didn't struggle for the past few years with all of the restrictions and the changes that were so unprecedented. So I feel like this year we're going into camp we're much better equipped to deal with all kinds of issues.
For all camps, it will be the first summer since 2019 without a COVID hangover. No masks, no bubbling, no testing, except maybe for head lice. Whether your child or your grandchild is a veteran camper or going for the first time. Which is why many Canadian camps now are offering mental health teams, such as in Manitoba, where Camp Masad, north of Winnipeg, have hired Rabbanit Dorit Cosman-Rose with her master's in social work and training in psychology. She's also bringing her emotional support dog, Ilula, to camp. To find out how mental health is now part of the overall Jewish summer camp experience, I caught up with Lynda Fishman. She's a clinical social worker in Toronto. She runs a 4-person team this summer at Camp Shalom in Gravenhurst, Ontario. We spoke in the parking lot after the families had left, and she offers some tips, including what you should do as a parent when you receive a letter from your child, kind of a hello mada, hello fada letter, that they're having a bad time. You've been here listening to the parents for the past 3 hours. How did you think this year went in terms of their nervousness, their anxiety? What are the issues they're telling you?
Well, a lot of these parents have been in touch with the camp leading up to tomorrow, which is the first day. And I would say that meeting them has just, for them, put their minds at ease that we know who they are, we know what they're worried about, and we are getting ahead of as much as we can so that we can set their kids up for success.
So for categories, what were some of the top things people were talking to you about today, without names, of course?
Of course. I would say that people are obviously concerned about their children's medical circumstances and have been reassured. We had 2 of our doctors here today, but just meeting them in person today was fantastic, having them here. And, there's other things that people are worried about. There's anxiety, there's children going to camp for the first time, there's concerns about whether or not they're going to make friends or have friends. There's all the normal, usual concerns when parents are letting go of some of that control and handing it over to the camp. And I think we were able to really reassure them that we are going to stay as connected as we possibly can with the campers and with them if needed, so they can have peace of mind.
We didn't have this issue of screen, phones and constant being in touch with your kids. How does camps now navigate that?
I think it's an important choice. I think children need to learn how to talk to other kids rather than text them. I think that they need to be able to learn how to live with other kids and live in a community type of situation, which camp offers, surrounded by lots of love and kindness. I mean, that's the core fundamental values of the camp. And I think it's really important to turn off all that technology and just have fun and do activities and be busy and laugh and sing songs and cheer, all the things that camp does.
Is there anything particularly that you guys had training in or having training in this year differently than previous years, or more intense, certain topics?
Well, I would say that for most camps, there's a lot of additional training now being offered regarding mental health, which I think is incredibly important, and I'm really happy that we're able to do that. We have 4 people on our mental health team at camp. We call ourselves the Camper Care Team. And the reason I think it's so important is because, especially coming out of COVID and several years of a lot of control that parents had over their kids, and also that lack of control, that finding that balance, I think a lot of people are really worried about their children and want to make sure that if they are feeling anxious or they are dealing with anything that's affecting their peace of mind, that there are people who have the skills and the training to deal with it at camp. We not only are there during camp to address these issues as they come up, but we get ahead of a lot of them. We know what we're going to be dealing with in terms of some of the issues that kids are bringing to camp. And so we're doing everything we can in advance to help the counselors and all of the staff understand what they can do to make sure that this camper is feeling safe and understood and validated. So we had not only the 4 of us in the past week there for training, but we also had several psychologists, child psychologists, come in and do some unbelievably fabulous training for our staff. And the feedback I'm hearing from the staff is they feel really excited and well prepared to deal with anything that is out of the ordinary for camp, anything that is in any way making kids feel like they either aren't able to stay at camp, or they're feeling excessive amounts of homesickness, or using language that kids often use now, like anxiety, or whatever is potentially stopping them from participating and really having fun at camp. I think the staff feel much better prepared now to deal with it.
So when you see, like, a lot of parents come with the in the clear bags of the medication, every kid has whatever they have to take, every camper. But is there any advice you give about whether there's a lineup and you take your Ritalin, or how medication is doled out? Because that was always, I remember, anxiety producing. If you are one of the kids that has to go take medication every day or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I don't think that's an issue for us at Camp Shalom. I think what we're doing differently, we started doing this a couple of years ago, is we have what we call Club Med. Club Med is sort of like a first aid area and a med administration area, and it's very friendly and it's very open. It almost looks like an ice cream bar when you walk up to it. It's not our health center. It's not our infirmary. It's not where kids stay if they're not feeling well. That is in a separate area. This is just open and fun, and I don't think there's any shaming involved. I've never seen any kids reluctant to go to Club Med. I think, in fact, it's just part of the day, and our staff at Club Med are super friendly and welcoming, and I don't think it's an issue at all.
What about the parents and what things they should or shouldn't say at drop-off? What advice had you been telling people so that they don't make their kids more nervous?
Well, we actually sent home some very detailed ideas about what parents should and should not say. And I guess to summarize it, what we want to do is we want parents to encourage their kids to step a little bit out of their comfort zone and be okay with the fact that it may feel a little bit uncomfortable at times. There may be times where they are a bit homesick and they feel a little bit sad. But that's something that if they can push through it, they will feel really proud of themselves, and they will be doing it surrounded by very supportive, loving staff members and other kids. And it's amazing to watch how other kids will really try to come to the rescue if one of their campmates is feeling homesick. But overall, we want people to understand that this is a skill that you learn along with so many other skills of independence. Being away from home is something that they have to learn how to master. One day they may go to university and have to live by themselves, and we want them to have a toolbox of ideas and ways to do that, and they can learn that at camp surrounded by a lot of support. And we've spent a tremendous amount of time with our staff giving them ideas about what to talk to the kids about if they're homesick, how to prevent it. So, for example, nighttime is a really difficult time for a lot of kids. They're tired. That's where they go into bed and they start to think about their family and they get homesick. So we are having a lot of our kids do journaling. The whole cabin's going to do it. And basically what we're doing is we're getting them to write down a few things that they feel really good about with camp, things that went well, maybe some accomplishments from the day, an activity that they tried that they were worried about trying and it went well, or a food that they tried that they didn't ever try before, or somebody who they were able to make smile or laugh, and just something that they feel really proud of themselves about. It's a private journal. It's something that each kid is going to be able to write in on their own. And what that does is it gives them a chance to focus on the things that went well that day and the things they feel good about, rather than getting caught up in worrying about home and being homesick. You know, my philosophy as a social worker is that anxiety or worries are going to control you if you don't control them. So what we're doing is we're giving them tools to control some of that. And, you know, it works. It works with gratitude journals. It works with this type of journal. And the counselors are excited about it. A lot of them are planning on doing it themselves. And there's other strategies as well. Like, we talk to them a lot in their training about how to reassure kids and how to comfort them.
And as far as parents, when you get a letter that says, the hello mother, hello father type of letter, which our younger listeners probably won't know, but it's a famous letter that everything's terrible, and then, I'm going swimming with whatever the guy's name was. So what should parents do when they get one of these letters that I'm sad, I'm having a bad time, the weather's terrible, whatever?
Kids will often write a letter, and in that moment when they're homesick, they write it. It gets it off their chest. They put it in the mail, and they're back at whatever activity, and they've totally forgotten about it. The parents get the letter and they're grabbing their car keys already. And we're saying, call us and we will check on your child. And they have to also be reassured. I can't speak for other camps, but I know that we will call parents if we feel that kids are immobilized by homesickness. And we will make sure that we work with them to help their children get through whatever tough times. So getting a letter doesn't mean that it's an ongoing issue. It's at the moment, that's how they felt, and that's what kids often do.
Okay. Is there any other advice about what you should be sending with your children? Let's say during I guess you can send letters or packages or whatever. No packages. So pictures, what kind of things should you send so that they don't miss their house too much? Because parents are off to Italy, right? Or they're having fun without you.
Parents certainly should write letters. Kids love getting letters, but they don't do well when they get letters like, I miss you so much I can't sleep, and the house is so silent without you here, and even the dog misses you and the dog won't eat. Like, we've actually seen those kinds of letters. The letters that make us laugh so hard that parents or have told us about is when they write letters and say, the internet is down, the cable's not working, so there's no TV, the air conditioning's not working, the house is so hot, we're so bored, there's nothing to do here, you're so lucky that you're at camp. And even though the kids, I've had kids say to me, I know none of that is true, but it's funny because it shows that the parents are really encouraging their kids to do this in the best way they can, and to push through any tough times, because it is hard. It's hard even for staff to be away from home and to live with other people. But what a fabulous life skill to learn. And at the end of it all, they feel so proud of themselves. And what speaks volumes for it is to see how people are sobbing at the end of camp because they don't want it to end.
This camp, being in camp, is a super social activity. A lot of kids are not Mr. and Mrs. Social. They're introverts, or they're home people. They can't handle, especially people who are maybe on the autism spectrum. So how do you deal with those?
Everybody brings their own personalities, their own likes, their own dislikes. We have staff that will jump up on a picnic table and cheer, and we have other staff that will sit quietly on the grass and clap their hands and sing along quietly with kids. We can't try to fit everybody into one category of what works for everybody. But the beautiful part about being at camp is that the pace is not what it is in the city. It's much slower. It's much more, it's relaxing actually to be up at camp. And there are some times where it's very raw and there's tons of spirit at Camp Shalom, like it is through the roof. But for kids who find that too much, there's also lots of areas to go and sit and relax and watch it from a distance, and that's okay as well. I think that we've made space for all kinds of personalities, and we're trying to respect the individual differences in everybody.
So how often should parents go to Bunk One or your camp? Other camps, they use these services that have pictures and sort of try to find the kids, because that's the other hard part, is trying to see if they can see them on the internet, right?
Right. Well, it's funny because we have some parents who are going to check pictures all day long, every day. And then we have others who at the end of the day, they'll scroll through, and if they find their kid, great. And if they don't, well, the kid maybe didn't want to pose that day, or the kid was busy doing other things and didn't stop for the camera. So there is no right or wrong. I think people obviously are going to do what works for them and what feels right for them.
Right, and that'll be the drop-off is a whole other issue. So top 3 things you should do when you drop off your child.
Well, the most important thing is to make sure that the child or children know that you believe in them and that you believe they can do this, and that you're proud of them and this is only for the kids, obviously, who are a little bit apprehensive. The kids who are jumping out of the car and racing onto the bus, I think the most important thing is to just give them that hug and let them know how proud you are that they are such awesome campers, and how happy you are that they're going to have such a great summer.
And then go home and, be sad. The house is quiet, right?
Well, I hope that people aren't sad. I hope people feel really good about their choice, and that they feel really good about their kids being well taken care of.
And that's what Jewish Canada sounds like for this episode of the CJN Daily. We send our deepest personal condolences out to the bereaved families, and we ask you, the listeners, to write in and let us know if you think camps are doing better now, or are there areas they could improve when it comes to mental health. You can even ask your kids or grandkids to weigh in and tell you what they think. The CJN Daily is produced by Zachary Judah Kaufman. Our executive producer is Michael Freeman, and our music was composed by Dov Beck-Levine. You can reach me at ebessner@thecjn.ca. Thanks for listening.
The Ashkenaz Festival, North America's largest celebration of Jewish music, arts, and culture is happening at venues across Toronto from August 27th to September 2nd. Witness diverse musical expressions of the Jewish experience, from klezmer and Yiddish styles to Sephardic, Mizrahi, Falasha music, and much more. Go to ashkenaz.ca for venue and ticket information.